to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. In this episode, we're going to be speaking about a player who has been requested hundreds and hundreds of times for an episode. A player who won the World Cup in 2022 and a player who has an incredible and inspiring story. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the truly fantastic Argentina and Benfica player, Angel Di Maria. Before we do that, thank you once again to all of you who have been hitting that follow button and giving the podcast 5 stars on Amazon Music, Apple Podcast and Spotify. If you haven't already done that, please hit the follow or subscribe button wherever you listen to the podcast. Before we properly get into this episode, a couple of your recent 5-star reviews. The first one is from Natey Cakey, which says, "Best pod ever, 5 stars. My name is Nate and I play football for my club, Mumbles Rangers. My favourite was Messi. Can you make one on Harry Wilson, please?" Well, thank you very much to whoever that was that left that 5-star review. That is very kind of you indeed. And the next one says, "Super Power Podcast, 5 stars. I am a 9-year-old girl and love the pods. I love Cristiano Ronaldo. Can you give me a shout out? My name is Mimi. And also, can you do an updated Ronaldo podcast?" Well, thank you very much to you. Thank you for taking the time to write a review and give the podcast 5 stars. Right then, let's get on with this episode, shall we? About Angel Di Maria. Angel Fabian Di Maria was born on the 14th of February in 1988 in Rosario, Argentina. Rosario is a large city in Argentina, and it's the same city in which some of the other great footballers have been born in, including Lionel Messi. It's said that Di Maria grew up in Argentina with his 2 sisters, and he was a very, very active child. In fact, he was hyperactive, so hyperactive that at 3 years old, his mum took him to the doctors. And when they were waiting to see the doctor, he was crashing into and knocking everything over. The doctor told him to try out sport, maybe football. Di Maria has also been a hard worker and a family man his whole life, ever since he was a young boy. When he was younger, he used to help out and work very hard in his family's coal business. If you're not sure what coal is, it's stuff which is used for burning in fires and in barbecues and all sorts of things like that. It was a tough and messy job, but Di Maria didn't shy away. He was a worker and he knew how important it was to work and to help his family out. Di Maria is actually very lucky to be here today, and he's very lucky to be playing football, as when he was very little, he was in a baby walker in Argentina at home. He found his way outside and ended up falling down a well, which, if you didn't know, is a very deep hole which most of the time has water in it. Luckily, he was saved in time and lived to tell the tale. Not that he remembers much about it, because he wasn't even 1. Anyway, Di Maria got into football at around 3 years old, and he and his mates would be on the streets playing football at every moment of every day that they were allowed to. He had a football attached to his feet, and he just loved the beautiful game. He joined a local team and he started to play matches properly, something which he loved to do. Di Maria was spotted when playing for a small local football team by someone who thought he would be a very good addition to the Rosario Central Club, which was then, and still is now, a big club in Argentinian football. At around 4 years old, Angel Di Maria had a transfer fee attached to him. Rosario Central paid a fee. a fee for a 4-year-old, and the fee was 35 footballs. Yep, you heard me right. Rosario Central paid 35 footballs for Angel Di Maria. Angel joined Rosario Central after the transfer fee was completed, but his parents didn't have a lot of money. They struggled to buy him some football boots, and Di Maria has always said that he is so grateful to his family for supporting him, because he knows that his sisters had to go without so that he could play football and get a pair of football boots. Di Maria's mum used to take him to the training ground on her bicycle. It wasn't just him on the bike though, it was him and his younger sister and his mum. He would be on the back, his sister would be on the handlebars at the front, and then his mum would be cycling him for half an hour to get to the training ground. That is one dedicated mum. Di Maria spent 13 years with Rosario Central in their youth system, developing his craft and becoming a superb player. In 2005, he made his senior debut for the club and was now a proper professional footballer. A huge achievement and a massive dream for anyone who plays football. In 2007, Di Maria was selected to play for the Argentinian under-20 side at the Under-20s World Cup, which was being held in Canada. After playing in this tournament and making a name for himself as a player with a huge future, Boca Juniors, who are one of the biggest clubs in Argentina, wanted to pay over $6 million for him. Arsenal Football Club in England were also very interested in signing him, but that didn't go through either. Instead, Angel Di Maria made his way to the Portuguese top division and signed with the top Portuguese club, Benfica. Di Maria worked wonders for Benfica and generally played on the wing. One of the games that stands out for most Benfica fans is the game when they hosted Everton at home in Portugal for the Europa League group stages. Di Maria played on the left wing, and at that time they gave Everton their worst defeat in a European competition ever, thumping them 5-0. Di Maria set up 3 of those goals with some of the most well-timed and perfect assists you've ever seen. Something which he's become known for. He was really starting to catch the eye of the footballing world, but in particular, the really big clubs. Di Maria seemed to play well in European competitions, and if he wasn't assisting hat-tricks, well, he was scoring them. There was another standout game for him in a European League competition when he scored 3 terrific goals, and the next day, the headline of one of the massive Portuguese newspapers was Magic Tree Maria. Diego Maradona was also raving about him and went on record to say that he thought that he would go on to be one of Argentina's next superstars. Diego wasn't wrong. When Di Maria was at Benfica, his parents were still working extremely hard in the coal world. Di Maria had now earned enough money that he paid for a house and other things, which meant that his parents no longer needed to work. This was a very special moment for him, and it was his way of saying thank you for those football boots and the cycle rides to and from training and the games. After a couple of years with Benfica and lighting up the Portuguese Premier Division, it was time for yet another move for Angel Di Maria. Many people wanted to get their hands on him as he was such a special talent and such a hard worker. There was only one place he was going next though, and that was to the king of footballs, and that was, of course, Real Madrid. When Di Maria joined Real Madrid in the 2010 to 2011 season, the head coach at the time was the very famous and very known Jose Mourinho. And he ended up playing alongside some of the greatest players in the world, like the Brazilian legend Kaká, Cristiano Ronaldo, Sergio Ramos, Benzema, and the list goes on. Di Maria played over 50 games for Real Madrid that season, wearing their crisp white kit with pride. Di Maria had some great games with Real, but he also had some tough games with them too. The pace of the football was different in La Liga, and it took some time to get used to the way that Real played. There are many standout games with him at Real, but one that the Madrid fans won't forget in a hurry was the 2014 Champions League final. Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid in front of over 60,000 fans to lift one of the most wanted trophies in football. Di Maria came flying down the wing, skilling every player in his path. He made his way at an angle into the box, skilling another player, and then smashed the ball at the goal. Courtois was in goal and just about got a touch to it. But Di Maria's teammate, Super Gareth Bale, was there to head it in, and the pair of them ran off celebrating to the Real Madrid fans who were going completely and utterly bonkers. What a moment for the pair of them, and what a moment for the team. Real went on to win that match 4-1 to lift the trophy yet again. Di Maria was given man of the match and presented the trophy by the legendary football manager, Sir Alex Ferguson. Di Maria played around 200 games for Real Madrid and was a huge part of him winning La Liga, the Copa del Rey, which is a little bit like the Spanish version of the FA Cup. He won the UEFA Super Cup with them, the Champions League, and their famous Supercopa de España trophy. After a lot of games, a lot of trophies, and playing with a lot of legendary players, he was off to yet another big club. This time, he was off to England and to join Manchester United in the Premier League. Di Maria joined the club, which was meant to be for 5 years. He was given the legendary shirt number, which was number 7. It had previously been worn by David Beckham, Eric Cantona, Cristiano Ronaldo, George Best, and many, many others. Manchester United paid tens and tens of millions of pounds for him. He was one of the most expensive players they had ever brought. The club and Di Maria really wanted it to be a success. However, he only ended up playing a handful of games for United. He was struck with an injury, and when he did play, he was more often not performing like he had in the past, and this was becoming frustrating for him and everyone else involved, including the fans. Sometimes the best players in the world don't work with some clubs and some teams. Chemistry is one of the most important things when it comes to football. The chemistry of the player and the manager, the chemistry of the player and their teammates, and of course, the chemistry between the player and the fans. The chemistry just didn't seem to be there for Di Maria, and some journalists called him the worst signing in the Premier League for that season. Manchester United were due to get on a plane and fly to the United States of America for some pre-season friendly matches. It's something which the big teams do quite often in between the seasons and competitions. However, Di Maria didn't board the plane. The manager at the time, Louis van Gaal, found out that there were some behind-the-scene business deals happening, and it was later announced that Di Maria has signed a deal with the biggest team in France. He was off to PSG. Di Maria would spend 7 seasons in the French top division, playing alongside and against some of the great players that the French football division had to offer. When he was with the club, they completely dominated. PSG won the league on 5 separate occasions. They won countless French football tournaments and awards. They made it to the final of the Champions League in 2020, narrowly missing out in a game which ended 1-0 against Bayern Munich. In 2022, Di Maria made it into the Argentina squad for the Qatar 2022 World Cup. They made it all the way to the final, where they played France in one of the most dramatic World Cup finals there has ever been. I would go as far as saying the most dramatic World Cup final there's ever been. The game finished 3-3 after 120 minutes of football, and Di Maria was responsible for scoring one of Argentina's goals, which made it level. The game went to a penalty shootout. France missed 2 of their penalties, and Argentina won. Di Maria and his Argentinian teammates had won the World Cup, a dream moment of lifting the trophy in front of a stadium full of people, everybody watching at home in Argentina, and everybody with their eyes glued to the telly around the world. Before the Qatar 2022 World Cup, Di Maria had moved to the Italian giants Juventus, a club which he would spend one season playing around 40 games at. After that season, Di Maria went back to where it all really started to change for him, and that was in Portugal and with Benfica. Di Maria is currently 36 years old and is still going strong. He's played in top divisions across Argentina, England, Italy, Spain, France and Portugal. He's played with some of the greatest players who have ever laced up a pair of football boots. So, from falling down a well as a young toddler, to working relentlessly on a coal plant, to being sold for 35 footballs, and making his way to training and games on the back of a bike, Di Maria has done it the tough way. He's achieved more than many people could ever dream of. He's represented his country, he's won the World Cup, he's helped his family, he's inspired millions. And he's done it because he's worked his socks off. And most importantly, he never, ever gave up. And that is something which we must always remember. I hope that you've enjoyed listening and learning about the story and career so far of Angel Di Maria. And remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly, or pitchside, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.